Yo, what's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. So check this out. Vincent Vanko just dropped not one, but two fire posts today about the whole Swift mess that everyone's still arguing about. And he made a killer point. Those massive banks, yeah, they're raking in ridiculous profits off the broken cross-border payment system, which means they've got zero motivation to fix it. In fact, they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep that outdated Swift setup alive, no matter how painful it is for the rest of us. And that's exactly why over in Ethereum, we've had to roll out this chunky, kind of clunky blockchain model. ETH doesn't come with cross-border payments baked in, so the entire thing has to be built from scratch. Look, let's be real. It's become more of a symbol to say, oh yeah, we're doing blockchain than actually delivering on it. But here's the thing. The fight's not over. There are literally thousands of smaller banks and institutions out there that are sick and tired of being left out just because they don't have enough liquidity. That's exactly where the XRP ledger comes in. With Ripple's help, these underdogs finally get a shot to run proper AML and CTF-compliant transactions worldwide without bowing down to the big banks. And honestly, it's wild seeing some folks on X suddenly cheering for Swift just because they think ETH or Link is now connected to it. Like, really? You think that somehow knocks XRP out of the race? Nah, this race is just getting started. And speaking of the racetrack, see you there. I don't say this often, but buckle up. All right, let's see whose horse crosses that finish line. Place your bets. I'm always riding with XRP. And here's why. Swift is ancient. We're talking about a system that's over 50 years old, and people are straight up fed up with it. Look at China, Russia, the BRICS nations. They're walking away from Swift because of US sanctions. And other countries, they just want a level playing field. That's why I believe, in the end, Ripple takes this race. Ask yourself this: why is Swift, after more than a decade of watching blockchain evolve right in front of their eyes, just now scrambling to even consider it? Sounds like the last gasp of an old, dying beast. Meanwhile, XRP Ledger and Ripple, they've been out here for over 10 years, building, proving, refining. The tech is mature, it's stable, and it's locked down with nearly $300 billion backing it, not even counting real-world assets and stablecoins. That's not just potential, that's power. The XRP Ledger is now officially the real deal, an immutable, fully public, high-availability blockchain. And Ripple, they've built the middleware that safely lets banks plug right in. Honestly, I don't see Swift as a threat at all. If anything, I see Swift making moves to acquire Ripple, or maybe the big banks themselves grabbing major stakes in it. But here's the twist. There could even come a day where Ripple flips the script and straight up acquires Swift. Because let's not forget who really pulls the strings here. The elites, the ones running the banks, running the world. And I believe they picked Ripple and XRP a long time ago. They already recognize RippleNet and XRP as the future. It's just a matter of timing. So whether Swift absorbs Ripple, Ripple merges into Swift, or Swift just gets swallowed whole by Ripple, here's the truth. No matter which way this plays out, XRP holders come out on top. Look at Volante, for example. They're a Swift technology provider already partnered with Ripple, which means XRP is plugged into the Swift network as an ISO 2022 compliant token. And it's not theory. It's been documented multiple times. XRP is already in the mix through Volante and other partners. The bigger picture, the world is finally piecing it all together because we're standing on the edge of a brand new financial era. Even former Ripple director Matt Hamilton put it best. Comparing XRP to Link just doesn't make sense. Link is a protocol. The XRP ledger, it's a living, breathing network, and XRP is the native fuel that powers it all. Now, Link will still have some value, sure, but let's not kid ourselves. Link handles data. XRP moves money. If Swift collapsed today, Link would be wiped out, while Ripple and XRP would be right there, stepping up to take the lead. Honestly, I think in the end we're going to see Link saved, not destroyed. Just look at Brad. He's already chosen to work with Chainlink through RLUSD. They're not enemies. Chainlink understands its role in the new financial system, just like Ripple and XRP do. But now suddenly, some people are running with this wild idea that Ripple operates on a network of influencers. Come on. Even Bill Morgan called this out as complete nonsense. If there was any shred of truth to that claim, the SEC would have jumped all over it during the Ripple case. But they didn't, because the evidence simply isn't there. This whole narrative about influencers is just noise. The facts speak for themselves. In my view, if Ripple had actually done anything shady, they would have lost the case outright, including on programmatic sales. If there had been real evidence, it would have been front and center in the judgment. But the SEC had nothing. Nothing about hype, nothing about promotional activities targeting programmatic or secondary market buyers. And now suddenly, the narrative is that influencers control the price of XRP or that Ripple is paying people to hype it up. Come on. I talk about XRP because I believe in it. I see where it's heading. I see how massive this is going to be, and I want to share that with as many people as I possibly can. Because at the end of the day, I'm here for one reason. I want people to have a real shot at financial freedom. Listen, I care about every single one of you watching. If I ever saw a real problem with XRP, I'd be the first to call it out, because my goal here is simple. I want you to reach financial freedom. Now here's where it gets interesting. XRP might just be Wall Street's dark horse. With SPOT ETF filings in motion, some funds are already whispering that XRP could be the next Bitcoin. And honestly, institutions have known this for years. They've looked at Bitcoin, seen its flaws, and said, okay, how do we do better? How do we build something that can actually achieve global adoption? Something that moves anything of value? That's exactly what XRP is doing. It's solving Bitcoin's problems and setting the stage for a financial system that works on a global scale. And now, multi-purpose tokens are live on the XRP ledger. These are huge. They're a new form of fungible token built right into the ledger itself, and they're critical for tokenization, unlocking use cases that go way beyond payments. This is where the future of finance is heading, and XRP is already there. Multi-purpose tokens were designed to make life easier and way more efficient. They take the lessons we learned from Trustline tokens and improve on them. On the XRP ledger, MPTs give you out-of-the-box tokenization features, literally just a few lines of code, and boom, you've got multiple token experiences running from one integration. The blockchain itself handles the heavy lifting behind the scenes. And this is huge because as tokenization keeps growing, this kind of simplicity is exactly what's going to pull institutions onto the XRP ledger. For tokenization purposes, XRP is already steps ahead. Everything is lining up perfectly right now. Even analyst E. Greg pointed out, an XRP fleshout is healthier than a quick pump. So what he's talking about here is a healthy pullback. And honestly, that's exactly what we want to see before the next big move. In crypto, a healthy pullback is never a bad thing. It's like recharging the rocket before liftoff. It sets the stage for an even stronger push upward. Think of it this way. If you're eyeing a certain price target and the market dips a little right before reaching it, 9 times out of 10, that dip actually fuels a bigger breakout. So the question is, are we about to see that play out again? Personally, I'd love to see XRP just snap out of this range and blast into price discovery. Because the moment we hit price discovery, the FOMO is going to be next level. I'm talking phones glued to hands, group chats going crazy. Everyone will be buzzing. It's going to be wild when it happens. So check this out. One of the top traders who's been betting against XRP just got wrecked. Again. The well-known crypto trader Quillo has taken another massive hit on his short position, this time pushing his total losses to over $3.6 million. Now listen, I would never trade against XRP. I've been around too long and seen it play out too many times. Whenever people start shouting, "This is it, we're about to break upward," boom, XRP dumps. Then the opposite happens. You've got people calling for this huge dip, and instead XRP rips right back up. That's the thing. It's almost impossible to predict. Calling this market is tough, but calling where XRP is headed, that's on a whole different level. XRP has got to be one of the most unpredictable cryptos out there. It always seems to prove people wrong. Some folks are saying the price could hit $10 if Bitcoin rockets to $469,000. But here's the thing. People never learn. Because honestly, it doesn't even matter what Bitcoin does. XRP is eventually going to decouple from Bitcoin, and I cannot wait for that moment. Why? because that's when we'll finally see how XRP performs in real-world scenarios. Like every time there's global conflict, Bitcoin tanks. Will XRP hold up better? Will it actually move based on its utility instead of just following Bitcoin's lead? That's the real question. And when this decoupling happens, I think it's going to shock a lot of people. XRP isn't just hype. It has real-world use cases and actual utility driving its value. Compare that to Bitcoin, which many argue is held up by Tether printing out of thin air. That's why I believe XRP is destined to hit $100. It has to. It's only a matter of time. Take a listen to this.
They're going to drive liquidity into it through the ETFs. It'll move very quickly to $50 to $100, somewhere in there. Once it's over $100, that's where they can really start using it. It has enough liquidity in it to start settling transactions at scale globally. And then they can continue to push the supply shock as they need to with the escrow. As demand increases, if they don't meet that demand with more of the escrow coming onto the market, the price would move higher. People get mad about the escrow, but the escrow is the secret. The escrow is the secret to the supply shock for XRP and the ability to adjust the price wherever they need it to be for liquidity. So if they need to hold it steady, they put more onto the market and it stays at the same price. If they want the price to go up, they don't put any more onto the market. And then the demand drives the price higher.
And that's exactly why I believe XRP is headed to $100. Because the truth is, we're getting really close to the moment where the world will need XRP. They're going to need it for on-demand liquidity. They're going to need it to move money, to transfer currencies across the globe. And when that switch flips, it's not just retail, it's going to be institutions leading the charge. We're talking mass adoption. And honestly, I think it's less than 2 years away. Because here's the thing. The big players, the institutions, they want in. They want to make money too. And how do they do that? By making sure XRP is being used by everyone, not just crypto enthusiasts, but everyday people. They'll position themselves as the middlemen, the bridge between XRP, blockchain, and the billions of people who've never touched crypto before. And when that happens, when they start onboarding the world, it's game over. We are so close to that moment right now. Once the institutions step in, that's when the real countdown to mass adoption begins. And trust me, they're already lined up, ready to dive in. The only thing holding them back right now is regulation. But even that's expected to come by the end of 2025. The window of time is closing fast, and that's exactly what I'm trying to get across here. So until then, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate every single one of you. I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing night.